Evening. Called to order this February 7th meeting of the Winston-Salem City Council, and pursuant to the policy and procedures adopted by this council regarding virtual meetings, I've determined that it's not feasible for the City Council and I to meet together physically tonight. And due to the pandemic, all council members are participating virtually. Council members will vote by a roll call vote. Council member will be recognized, raise their hand, and state their vote. Would the city clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Larson.
Present.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Mundy. Councilmember Scipio.
Here. My video's not working again.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Present.
Councilmember McIntosh.
Here.
And Councilmember Burke.
Here.
Thank you. Tonight, we will have a moment of silence. And as we go to a moment of silence, I think I certainly want to give thanks for the brave men and women of Winston-Salem Fire Department who worked so well last week to protect us and our citizens. So please join me in the City Council in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Tonight's agenda of the City Council is comprised of the following items. There are 3 zoning petitions. There's a petition for a voluntary annexation, a UDO text amendment, an item modifying a permanent financing for the Emanuelery Retirement Village, an item related to boards and commissions, as well as a closed session. The zoning petitions, the voluntary annexation, and the UDO text amendment are listed as public hearings. When these public hearings are called, persons will be given an opportunity to speak virtually. If there is opposition to the zoning petitions, the proponents and the opponents will each be given 15 minutes for presentation and 3 minutes for rebuttal. If no one wishes to speak, the public hearings will be closed and the City Council will consider the item. I will point out that written comments were accepted on the public hearing items up to 24 hours prior to the start of this meeting. We're televising this meeting live tonight on TV 13, and it will be replayed Tuesday at 9 a.m. and again on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Copies of the agenda as well as videos of previous meetings are always available online at the city's website, www.cityofws.org, and just simply click on the Watch Meetings Online option. Ms. Kinney, would you please read the first item?
Item H1, resolution honoring Fire Chief William Tremayo and the Winston-Salem Fire Department. Whereas on the evening of January 31st, 2022, fire broke out at the Winston Weaver Company fertilizer plant in Winston-Salem. Some 92 firefighters with the Winston-Salem Fire Department responded to the fire, but despite their best efforts, the fire quickly grew out of control. And whereas while battling the blaze, Winston-Salem Fire Chief William Tremayo learned that the fertilizer plant contained 600 tons of ammonium nitrate, a highly explosive and unstable chemical. And whereas when it became apparent that the firefighters could not control the blaze and that the fire was threatening to set off an explosion that would have brought a great loss of life and damage in a large area surrounding the plant, Chief Mayo prudently withdrew the firefighters and called for an emergency evacuation of all homes and businesses within a 1-mile radius of the plant and sent fire personnel through every residential street within the danger area to inform residents of the need to evacuate. And whereas before withdrawing, the fire department took measures to reduce the threat of an explosion and mobilized around-the-clock surveillance of the fire with the assistance of drones operated by the Winston-Salem Police Department, the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office, as well as public safety agencies from Greensboro, Louisville, Durham, and Alamance and Harnett counties. And whereas with the assistance of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Office of Emergency Management, the fire department established a command post just outside the 1-mile limit to monitor the situation nonstop for more than 96 hours, providing regular briefings to the public and the media to keep them informed of the continuing danger and how to protect themselves. And whereas despite the strain on personnel and resources, the fire department continued to staff all fire stations and respond to all calls, providing fire protection and emergency medical services to the residents of Winston-Salem throughout this ordeal. And whereas once conditions allowed, firefighters returned to the scene and brought the situation under control without any loss of life or damage to property beyond the fertilizer plant, and for their textbook handling of this protracted emergency, the Winston-Salem Fire Department and Fire Chief Mayo have drawn praise from the first responders and firefighting experts across the United States. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and the Winston-Salem City Council declare for themselves and on behalf of the residents of Winston-Salem their profound admiration and gratitude to Fire Chief William Tremayo for his leadership throughout this critical situation, to the men and women of the Winston-Salem Fire Department for their ceaseless efforts to protect the lives and property of residents of the Winston-Salem, and to the many agencies that assisting in averting what could have been a disaster of historic proportions. Adopted this 7th day, February 2022.
Recognize Councilmember James Taylor, Chairman of the Public Safety Committee, for a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I move for approval of this resolution.
Second.
All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
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 There's no one opposed to that. Chief, on behalf of the City Council and really on behalf of the entire city of Winston-Salem, I thank you for the very professional and effective way you led this, handling this potentially catastrophic event. To the firefighters, words will not convey the gratitude that we have for their bravery and commitment. You know, every year when I speak to the graduating class of the Fire Academy, I say to them how much I appreciate them stepping up and putting their lives on the line. Well, on Wednesday, when I was up there and I met with the firefighters of the strike team that was getting ready to go back in there the next morning, I just saw their bravery exhibit. There's an old saying that says a brave person is not the one who doesn't feel afraid, but the one who conquers that fear. And clearly our firefighters conquered that fear. And for that, our community is forever grateful. Chief Mayo, we have this resolution for you and your team. Would recognize you if you'd like to make some comments.
Good evening, Mayor. Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor, to you and Mayor Pro Tem Adams and members of the council. I so much appreciate you taking time for this recognition tonight. But I want, you know, although my name comes up several times in the resolution, I want to be clear that there should be a bunch of names in that resolution, from the initial responders who made good decisions in the first hour and a half or so of the incident through, you know, I would say just about everybody in the fire department at some point or another had a hand in responding to this incident over almost a week. And I want to be sure that those folks are recognized, that, you know, the fire department senior staff, assisting fire agencies, emergency management, EMS, emergency services, law enforcement, both city, county, and state, the marketing and communications department, public health, utilities, stormwater, sanitation. I mean, and I'm sure I have left somebody out, but, you know, my intent, Mr. Mayor, is to convey that we have a team here who can come together and do good work when the time comes. And I am proud of them, and I know you are. And I want to thank you all again, the city, you, Mr. Mayor, and the council, as well as the folks in the city manager's office whose support last week was unwavering, and that means a lot to the fire department.
Thank you, Chief. And again, we applaud you and the members of your department.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item H2.
Item H2, resolution honoring the 2021 City of Winston-Salem retired employees. Whereas there were 88 City of Winston-Salem employees who have retired in 2021. And whereas the collective years served by the retired employees total 2,066. And whereas of all the 2021 retirees, Stan Johnson from the Support Services Division of the Police Department have served the longest with 36 years of service. And whereas the work of all city employees is valued and appreciated by the mayor, city council, and the citizens of Winston-Salem. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and the Winston-Salem City Council approve honoring the aforementioned 2021 City of Winston-Salem retired employees and wish them much success as they embark on new endeavors.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. A motion and second. All those in favor of the approval of this resolution, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And again, I know there's no no's, so that passes unanimously. And we're scrolling the names of the retired employees representing 2,066 years of service to the citizens of Winston-Salem. And I certainly thank each one of you for your service to the city and this community, for making our city a better place. Council members, anybody want to add anything? Applause, that's good. That's right. Thank you. And again, congratulations to the retirees and wish you the best in your retirement years. Now we'll go to the zoning agenda. Item Z1, please.
Item Z1, continuation of public hearing on zoning petition of 1520 Dune Street for reasonable accommodation. This item was continued from the November 4th, 2019, January 6, 2020, June 1st, 2020, and March 1st, 2021 City Council meetings. A request to continue this item to the May 2nd, 2022 City Council meeting has been received.
Council, as you saw in the materials, the petitioner wants to really wait until we're back in meeting in person to have this item considered. I'd recognize Councilmember Larson if you would like to make a motion relative to continuance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, fellow council members. I move to continue agenda item Z1 to City Council meeting on May 2nd, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Go to roll call. Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Mundy. Councilmember Scipio.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor.
Yes.
Councilmember McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilmember Burke.
Yes.
Thank you. That item passes 7 in favor. Councilmember Mundy is not on the call tonight. He is. I didn't hear the vote there, but that would be unanimous then. All right, item Z2.
Item Z2, public hearing on zoning petition of Benny R. Orrell Sr. and W. Douglas Orrell from HB and RS9 to GB-S. Property is located on the northwest corner of South Stratford Road and Southwest View Drive, located in the Southwest Ward. Planning Board recommends approval of petition.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy, does anyone signed up to be heard on this item?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. There is no one who has signed up in opposition to this item.
Thank you very much. Therefore, close the public hearing, and I'll recognize Councilmember Mundy if he's ready for a motion or a presentation, either one.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to make sure folks can hear me. I didn't realize that I wasn't heard before.
Yeah, I've got you now.
Excellent. I am very supportive of this plan. I've worked extensively with the folks who will be developing this property. They have been very good about working with planning on the site, our planning department on the site plan. So I've enjoyed working with them and look forward to what happens on Stratford Road there on the corner of Westview. So with that, I move in item Z2, the zoning petition of Benny R. Orrell and W. Douglas Orrell. I move for the approval of 1, the statement of consistency for approval of this item, and 2, W-3513.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item? All right. Seeing none, we'll go to the roll call. Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Mundy.
Aye.
Councilmember Scipio. Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor.
Yay.
Councilmember McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilmember Burke.
Yes.
Thank you. That is unanimous. Thank you, Councilmember Mundy. We'll go to item Z3.
Item Z3, public hearing on site plan amendment of Ujima Community Development Corporation to remove a community center and install an additional residential units. Property is located on the north side of Barber Ann Avenue, west of Chandler Street and Galaxy Court, located in the East Ward. Planning Board recommends approval of petition.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy, is there anyone in opposition to this site plan amendment?
Mr. Mayor, there is not anyone in opposition. There are representatives of the petitioner that are here.
Great. Welcome to the petitioners. I will close the public hearing and we'll recognize Councilmember Scipio.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to have just a small presentation.
All right, very good. Mr. Murphy?
Okay. Hopefully you are seeing my screen. The petitioner is the Ujima Community Development Corporation. The site is an 8.5 acre parcel located on the north side of Barbara Jane Avenue, west of Chandler Street. And the request is a site plan amendment for property already previously zoned RM8S to remove a community center and replace with additional residential units. Here is the subject property shown in the GMA2 Urban Neighborhoods Growth Management Area. Here's the subject property highlighted in yellow. Again, it's previously been developed under RM8S for senior living, and the request is to remove the community center to provide additional units for affordable housing. Here are those existing units that are there, and this project has been developed over the last 5 to 6 years. Just some more site images. This is where the new duplex will go within the existing development. And this is the area plan for the East Northeast Winston-Salem area plan, and it recommends this as institutional. And this request is consistent with that. Here is the site plan that shows the 2 new units on the plan in context with the other other buildings that are already out there. And these are the elevations. The request does not change the approved uses, general building placement, or access locations. The request is consistent with legacy and the area plan and will have minimal impact on traffic in the area. This item was heard by Planning Board at the January 13th, 2022 public hearing. There were no speakers in opposition. The Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend approval of this request to Council, and the site plan does meet UDO requirements. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Murphy? Seeing none, I'll recognize Councilmember Scipio.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I am very much in favor of this change to the site plan. The retirement center has made a great improvement on Barbara Jane, and it just looks wonderful. And the developers just did not know what great appeal those duplexes with garages have made, and they are just wonderful. And so I'm very much in favor of the change to their site plan. So I move for approval of this one, the statement of consistency for approval of this item, and 2, W-3514.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Clark. Any further discussion of this item? All right, seeing none, we'll go to the roll call vote. Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Mundy?
Aye.
Councilmember Scipio?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yay.
Councilmember McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Thank you. That is unanimous. Thank you, Councilmember Scipio. Item Z4.
Item Z4, public hearing on a petition for the voluntary annexation of approximately 33.856 acres located on the western side of Overlook Creek Road, known as Fraser Ridge, recommended by Public Works Committee.
Thank you. Is there anyone signed up to be heard on this public hearing for this proposed voluntary annexation?
Mr. Mayor, we do have a couple representatives of the petitioner, but there's no one signed up in opposition. Okay,
unless staff or unless council wants to hear some, I will just close the public hearing. I know Councilor McIntosh just did come from your committee, but if it's okay with you, I'm going to recognize the council member from the ward, Councilor Burke, for a motion if she is ready.
I am. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. I am happy to support this petition for annexation, and I want everybody to know this will bring 116 residential units in this community, as well as at full build out, the potential for $142,000 in tax revenue for the city of Winston-Salem. So I move for approval of agenda item Z4.
Second.
Motion and second. Everybody's in favor of that $140,000 tax revenues. We like that, council member. Any discussion of this proposed annexation? All right, seeing no one, we'll go to the roll call vote. Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Mundy.
Aye.
Councilmember Scipio.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor.
Yes.
Councilmember McIntosh.
Aye.
And Councilmember Burke.
Yes.
Thank you. That is unanimous. And we'll go to item Z5, please.
Item Z5, continuation of public hearing on ordinance amending Chapter 5, 6, and 11 of the Unified Development Ordinances to revise provisions regarding dwelling accessories. This item was continued from the January 3rd, 2022 City Council meeting.
Thank you. I would remind the City Council that we did close the public hearing at that time. So without being any continued public hearing tonight, a lot of things have happened, of course, since that meeting. And I'd like to ask Mr. Murphy or Ms. Crum, whichever, to give us a brief update on the actions that have happened since that meeting, please. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you. Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. I'm going to turn this over to Amy Crum, who will give just a brief recap in a few slides as far as what has happened over the last month and a half, and then put the ball back in your court for discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, members of council. As was mentioned, UDOCC 15 is a request to amend chapters 5, 6, and 11 related to accessory dwelling units. City Council voted to postpone the vote at its January 3rd meeting to allow time for a public information session. This session was held on January 25th through a Zoom webinar. Planning staff worked with the Winston-Salem Neighborhood Alliance to confirm that date and time to make sure it worked with their representatives prior to formally scheduling the meeting. The meeting was advertised through the city's social media accounts, which be Facebook, Nextdoor, Instagram, and Twitter. The Winston-Salem Journal and email contacts of those who commented during either the planning board meeting or the city council meeting, the city's community assistance liaisons, as well as email contacts that we received asking us to send them the information. We had 120 unique attendees, and this includes the panelists, which were about 5 staff members. Staff gave a presentation that covered 4 key areas, the first being background information on ADUs. Also included a comparison between the current and proposed provisions, as well as provisions from our peer communities. Included frequently asked questions, and staff did reach out to the Winston-Salem Neighborhood Alliance asking for some of those questions to be included into this presentation, which they were. And then 4 example development scenarios that showed how a detached ADU could fit on 4 existing lots within the city. Most of the presentation was spent, most of the meeting was actually spent on question and answer. There was approximately 65 questions that were answered by staff during the webinar. Question topics included occupancy rules, transportation considerations, mainly traffic or bicycle pedestrian considerations, parking concerns, environmental considerations, meaning stormwater, impervious surface, trees, things of that nature, and then affordable housing. Just to refresh your memory, the City County Planning Board recommended approval at its November 10th meeting by a 5-2 vote. The Community Development, Housing, and General Government Committee discussed the item at its December 14th meeting and voted to send the item to full council without a recommendation. And again, the public hearing was held last month. And with
Thank you, Ms. Crum.
Answer any questions anyone may
Okay,
have.
any questions of Ms. Crum? All right, thank you very much, Ms. Crum. I'm going to recognize Mayor Pro Tem Adams, Chairman of our Housing and General Government Committee, if she would like to make a motion to get this on the floor. Community Councilor or Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I move for approval of 1, the statement of consistency for approval of this item, and 2, UDO CC 15.
Second. Motion and second.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Burke.
thank you, Mayor. I would like to make the following substitute motion.
All right.
If I may. I move that item Z5 be continued until the City Council's meeting on April 4th, 2022, and that in the interim, the 6 recommendations from the Neighborhood Alliance be shared with Winston-Salem City Council, and that planning staff submit a report to the council in response to each of the recommendations in advance of the April 4th meeting, which shall include a comparison chart showing the existing ADU provisions, the proposed ADU changes, and the impact of any of the 6 recommendations to the extent they are consistent with the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Burke. Is there a second to the substitute motion?
Second.
Thank you. A motion and second has been made for a substitute motion. Mayor Pro Tem Adams, you're recognized.
Discussion, right?
Yes, yes.
Again, I just want to make it clear to everybody that this is just one of the initiatives that's coming forward from the City Council. We put this in place years ago, like 2017, but just like with any ordinance or law, once you see whether it's working or not, you sometimes have to bring it back. I.e. the sign ordinance when things change. We can do that on any ordinance that we move to resolution and vote. I have, like I said in the past, we will keep the citizens and the Neighborhood Alliance and all groups and neighborhoods aware of what is transpiring over the time. I am willing to make sure in community development that there are monthly updates as to how this ordinance is moving, how many permits have been given or asked for, how many actual plans have been submitted. I am sure that planning staff would have no issue with that, as well as the council. Again, if we keep moving the needle and we're at 16,000 units, any little bit will help. Again, I don't see this ordinance causing hundreds or thousands of ADUs being built like rapidly. We will monitor it and we will ensure that it works to the betterment of the communities. And with that, Mayor, as usual, I do support this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. We will vote on Councilmember Burke's substitute item now, which is to continue this item until April 2nd. So a vote right now is for the substitute motion to continue this item to April the 2nd. Anyone else want to be heard?
Yes.
Councilor Scipio, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
To my fellow council members, I know this discussion has gone on for some time. However, I'm very concerned that we must be diligent in improving any ordinances that could lead to any adverse effects in our neighborhoods. I'm very sensitive about any kind of change that good intentions are expected, but there are always consequences. And I'm very concerned because in the 1960s, the city council thought that urban renewal was the thing that would improve the East Ward. The expectations were for better housing choices. But 50 years later, the evidence of those decisions are areas of poverty, mostly concentrated in the qualified census tracts, which have very fragile neighborhood stability due to high levels of rental properties versus owner-occupied dwellings. The ADUs could have an adverse effect in our qualified census tracts. Other issues have affected that. We must take the appropriate time to ensure that we listen to all segments of our community. And with the ordinances, to do the least harm and the most benefit to our neighborhoods. Let us take time to make thoughtful decisions by exploring the recommendations that have been given to us that some of you may or may not have seen relative to this particular ordinance for the ADUs. Spending just a little more time to due diligence for all of our neighbors, I believe, is the prudent step we should take. It's not that I am against ADUs, I'm actually for them, but I certainly want them to not have adverse effects on our neighborhoods. So I encourage you to let's just take a little more time. There is no real urgency to pass this ordinance. There's not a great demand. I believe we will have ADUs, but I certainly want to have the voices of the residents heard in this decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Scipio. Councilmember Larson.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, fellow council members. I ran a campaign 2 campaigns ago with a slogan that strong neighborhoods make a strong city. And I still believe that the neighborhoods are the bedrock of good community. We have a lot of people that have invested in the 1970s and 80s to come back to Winston-Salem, move into these urban neighborhoods of West End and Washington Park and West Salem and Old Salem even, to revitalize and bring them back from slum-like conditions, oftentimes tenement houses, and convert them back into single-family residences. And they've set up a neighborhood situation and formed a neighborhood organizations to help defend that. I have to respect the Neighborhood Alliance Group and their desire to sit at the table and participate in these discussions. I recall when I first came onto council in 15, 16, and the discussion was at that time, one of the first discussions dealt with these types of adjunct accessory dwelling units. And a lot of discussions, a lot of participation, and something was hammered out, a compromise was hammered out, and we've had it for 5 years now. Question is, people are saying, well, it's not working. And the question might be, why is it not working? Building costs too high, or is it too encumbered, is the system too encumbered? And instead of tweaking the system, what we've decided to do is hit it with a sledgehammer and totally rework the whole thing, which includes not only the process of approval, but the very design guidelines in which these buildings are to be built. The neighborhood association has come back after a thorough study and a survey of the population of Winston-Salem, and which I believe copies have been distributed, to show overwhelmingly there's several categories of grave concern in the neighborhoods and individuals dealing with parking and building height, location, whatever. These are worth consideration. They need not to be informed about these changes, but participate in the discussion of them, which they feel like they have not been allowed to do. The neighborhood associations need to have a conversation, not to be told what's going on, that's going to happen, but rather be actually partners in the resolution of this. So the compromises that I think they're willing to make And I think we need to take the time to listen to these and craft a document that reflects some of their concerns, not simply impose upon them the will of modern planning agendas. So I'm going to support the amendment in hopes that we can spend a little bit of time and try to find some common ground and a little compromise on what the neighbors are concerned about versus what we're trying to accomplish to provide additional housing. I think everybody has agreed that ADUs are an important part of our landscape, but that how they're placed in the landscape is important, and the neighborhoods are concerned about that as well. So we can have ADUs, we just need to control how we're going to install them. Thank you.
Councilmember Mundy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I may see things quite differently. While I respect the neighborhood association, their involvement, their time, because there are so many people who will not get involved in the community. In this case, I have seen and heard a tremendous amount of disinformation and misinformation from that organization, which is, in a way, they've lost credibility with me, because in some cases, they knew what they were saying. They read the ordinance, and they were leading people the wrong way. So when I had the opportunity to talk to a number of people who were against this, once I got them on the phone and realized the things they had been told, which were half-truths and in some cases non-truths, and I explained what the ordinance really did, they had no problem with this. So it's hard for me to put a lot of stock and credence in what I think is a flawed survey, and the people who answered that had been led to believe that the ADU is much more dangerous than it is. We know two things. One, that the current ADU already incorporates a number of the things that the neighborhood association is requesting. And we know that that is not successful. The other thing that we know is that in the communities in North Carolina that I consider our peer communities, they have successfully implemented the ADU plan several years back. So in this case, sometimes I complain that Winston-Salem is always the follower and not the leader. But in this case, because we're following these communities, we have a track record of success. And when I've gone and tried to research these fears that the red herrings that have been thrown out by those who are opposed to this, you can't substantiate any of these fears. But in fact, the data that we do have shows that these are successful programs. And our planning department has done exactly what, as a businessman, I would always do, and that is implement best practices. When you see other people do something and you know that it's successful, it's foolish not to do the same thing if you'd like to achieve the same results. So we could extend this, we could talk more, we could talk in circles, which is what we've been doing since I've been on the board about ADUs, and we would land in exactly the same place, that what we did in the past did not work. What others are doing and beating us to the punch as they compete for workers against Winston-Salem, as they compete for businesses against Winston-Salem. If we don't make changes, we will find ourselves going from 5th position, probably the 6th position, and continue to fall. We have to be more progressive. We have to plan for the future. That doesn't mean don't listen to your neighbors, but it means when you have experts who are making a full-time job of advising what we need to do, and we have proven track records, we should follow that.
Thank you, Councilor Mundy. And by the way, let me correct my statement. This motion is to extend this, continue this item to April 4th. So I apologize for saying the wrong date. Councilor McIntosh.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm one of 5 council members currently on this council who were on council when we passed our previous ADU ordinance back in 2007. That conversation lasted almost 2 years. Nothing has changed about the housing situation in Winston-Salem, except it has gotten worse. More people are paying more money for housing than at that time. So the fact that we have not spent 2 years on it this time leads me to believe we're going to end up, if we spend 2 years on it, we're going to end up right where we were. So we all live in neighborhoods. Every council member lives in a neighborhood. Every council member has the potential to be impacted in some way by this ordinance. But I serve on the North Carolina League of Municipalities. The league has not addressed this specifically, but I talk to my fellow folks, council members and mayors who are on the league. And the cities that have gone after this boldly have gotten results like 10 ADUs per year. So I'm very comfortable that this will not cause radical change in anyone's neighborhood. It is not the solution to affordable housing, but we're 16,000 units short. There is not a solution to affordable housing. This helps. This bites around the edges. Any additional housing units we can get, we need to get. This also pushes development out into green fields. If we don't approve this, people are moving to Winston-Salem. Our population is increasing. If we don't offer alternatives, it's going to fan out and we'll become even more sprawled, and we'll have higher cost of services. We'll have worse transit. We'll have worse traffic. I think this discussion, if we consider it back to 2015, I think there's been a lot of discussion on this. I think everyone who had really wanted to be in a discussion had an opportunity to be. Raleigh has gone so far. Raleigh is a city that's twice our size. They have an ordinance very similar to what we're talking about. They have had 22 units built in 2 years. And that's a 500,000 person city with much more problems with housing affordability than we have. And it has not been overrun with developers and Airbnbs and that kind of thing. It's just not true. Market forces are going to contain the number of ADUs that get built to a very small number. So I'm very comfortable with this. And I think we've spent enough time discussing it. I think we need to move forward.
Councilmember Burke, want to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate all the heartfelt comments from my colleagues, and I can feel the passion that you and that we all have regarding the ADUs. The request is just until April. And I believe if we can extend this, table it until then, that will do two things for us. It will help to build trust with our community. It will help to show that we are operating with full transparency. I know that we have done our best to answer to their response. They ask for to be educated on ADUs. Give us a chance to see a presentation. Give us a chance to ask questions. And we did that on January 24th. Now that they have this information, they are asking for 6 considerations. And it's very difficult for me to overlook the fact that our neighbors, our citizens are asking just for consideration. We can table this tonight and finalize it in April. And I don't think that's too long to ask. And I don't think it takes us in circles. I think that we all have heard from residents from every ward throughout this entire city asking us to listen to and respond to the 6 considerations. And I think that we owe it to them to honor that request. It's not asking a lot. I believe we have an obligation to them. We work for them. And I'm just asking April, not next April, April 2022. Again, 2 reasons. It will build trust and transparency. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Burke. Thank you, council members, for great statements and rationale. So we'll go to a roll call vote. Again, we're voting on the substitute motion to extend, continue this item to April 4th. A yes vote is voting yes for the continuation. Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
No.
Councilmember Mundy.
No.
Councilmember Scipio.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
No.
Councilmember Taylor.
Yes.
Councilmember McIntosh.
No.
Councilmember Burke.
Yes.
That's 4 in favor of the motion to continue and 4 against the motion to continue. The chair votes no in that regard. I believe we're ready to vote on the main item and move forward with it. And no disrespect to you, Councilmember Burke, but I think we're ready to move on. So we're now back to the original motion, which is to approve the UDO text amendment as proposed. And if you're ready, we'll go to the vote on that. All right, a vote for this is in favor of the UDO text amendment. Councilmember Larson.
No.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Mundy.
Aye.
Councilmember Scipio.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor.
Yes.
Councilmember McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilmember Burke.
No.
Thank you. That motion does pass with a vote of 5 in favor and 3 opposed. Thank you, council members, for the very thoughtful discussion on this item. Item Z6.
Item Z6, resolution to modify permanent financing for the Emanuelery Retirement Village, recommended by Finance Committee.
Council members, you've read the items on this. Do you like any additional information on this before we move to a vote? Basically, it doesn't change the loan agreement other than to allow for the additional residential units there that we just recently approved. So I'll recognize Councilmember Scipio if you're ready for a motion, council member.
Yes, I move for approval of agenda item Z6.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councilmember Clark?
Yeah, just real briefly, Ms. Scipio just passed Z3, which was the site plan amendment. Yeah, what we have are a couple of legal documents that we have to take out the word community center and put in duplex because that's what's changed on the drawing. So this is somewhat of just a formality.
Good. Thank you, Councilmember Clark. Look for our Chairman of the Finance Committee to keep us straight on the finances there. Thank you. I will go to the roll call vote then. A yes vote does approve this the changes in the financing agreements. Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Mundy?
Aye.
Councilmember Scipio?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntosh?
Aye.
And Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Great, thank you. That is unanimous. Go now to item Z7.
Item Z7, Mayor Pro Tempore Adams' recommendations for reappointments to the Community Appearance Commission: John Coyne, categorical position; George Edwards, categorical position, both terms expiring February 2025. Taysa Wilson, non-categorical position, term expiring February 2025.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Motion second. Any discussion? All right, to roll call. Councilmember Larson.
Mayor.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Mundy. Excuse me, Councilmember.
This is not discussion so much as a question.
Yes, go
Can
ahead.
someone help me understand the categorical position versus non-categorical? I don't think I've seen that in other committees. So what's the difference there?
Yeah, certain committees lay out representative, for instance, from the design community or representative from a banking community or something of that nature. And then they're just general members on a committee. Not every
So the general is at large.
has one, but a lot of them do. Excuse me.
Okay, thank you.
Does that cover it?
Yes, it did. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Mundy. All right, so a yes vote approves these reappointments. Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Mundy?
Aye.
Councilmember Scipio?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntosh?
Aye.
And Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Thank you very much. That is unanimous. Council members, we do have a need to go into a closed session, and it has to do with a financial settlement. Recognized by Chairman of the Finance Committee, Councilmember Clark, for a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the Winston-Salem City Council go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318, 11A1 and 3, and North Carolina General Statute 160A-168 to consult with and provide instructions to the city attorney regarding the settlement of a claim arising out of a confidential employee matter existing prior to 2020, and to preserve the attorney-client privilege, and 2, North Carolina General Statute 143-31811A4, along with the aforementioned statutes to approve certain closed session minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Monday.
Thank you, Councilmember Mundy. This is a motion to go into closed session. Councilmember Larson,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Mundy,
Aye.
Councilmember Scipio,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntosh,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll now go into closed session. Just hang tight. Okay, I believe everyone is back. Is there a motion to end the closed session?
I
So
move
moved.
for approval.
Thank you. Motion and
Second.
second. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of ending the closed session, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed to ending the closed session? All right, we're back into open session. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed to adjourning? Didn't think so. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.